made available spaces on its iTunes Music Store for higher education. And institutions can apply to have a 500 gigabyte space with a customized interface to share public materials, marketing materials, and also to share private academic content as podcasts. Everything's working. Thank you so much. Oh, no. Thank you. So we submitted a successful proposal, and the first step was to develop a Perl script URL to open the iTunes application from HTML, which we did. And we also created an administrative URL that allowed us to edit content on the site. I'll just give you a quick overview. So this is what our site looks like, the splash page. Information about the institution, and then content. There was a problem, though. We started to populate the site, but we realized that none of the content that we were uploading was available anywhere on the iTunes Music Store search engine. And faculty members were concerned because they were hoping that this would be a real marketing tool or a way of exposing their scholarship to the international community, and we just weren't getting any. We had no luck with that. So, and the same problem was existed in these reports that we were receiving every 4 weeks. It was clear that the number of new subscriptions was very, very limited. We might be getting, toward the beginning of our work with the site, we were getting like maybe 10 new subscription fees a month. So it was very, very limited. There was no way to, unless you had the URL, there was no way to access the information. So I contacted Apple through our sales rep, and he put me in touch with a producer, an iTunes producer in Cupertino, who reviewed the site, and he had some great suggestions in terms of how to improve the architecture, make it compliant with Apple standards, so that it could actually be a featured site on the search engine, which would mean it would be completely cross-indexed, so that every pod or podcast that was uploaded would be searchable. So I'm just going to go over basically all of the elements. The interface is based on tabs. So right now you can either have audio podcasts or vodcasts. He wanted the tracks, the podcast to be listed as tracks, and the video as video. Initially, the iTunes U splash page in the iTunes Music Store was actually a list of institutions, and then they changed it. They changed their search engine so that now it's based on categorization. So that where before you could search, you could just click on an institution link to access their content. In this case, you have to we had to recategorize or categorize all our content, which is a feature of the latest version of iTunes. Basically, you need to determine what what category the content effort belongs to, and then assign it that value. And in our case, basically, as a law school, everything was social science, and law is a subcategory of social science. So that was the. Another odd thing was that, before on a splash page we said, welcome to New York Law School on iTunes U, but they wanted no reference whatsoever to iTunes. They felt that this should be an extension of the university website. It should have the look and feel of the website. There should be no reference to iTunes. So we removed that reference. We kind of designed the splash page. They want the institutional link in a prominent place also, so that you can access it easily from the iTunes site. Then there were some other issues that needed to be addressed. Apple believes that really, in order to best use the site, it's important to create categories that can be populated with numerous tracks going forward. They really don't like the idea of a one-track album. They felt that also, since they were going to make this public, they were going to generally, people who are surfing the iTunes music store and hit a site, if they feel like it's really poor in terms of the amount of content, they're not going to come back. So basically, they feel that a site should have at least 100 tracks before launching. And it should really be as rich as possible before the launch. He was very concerned about really polishing and refining the site as much as possible before actually taking it public. So we looked at the site and what we felt were general categories. Most of them included conferences, fields of specialties, legal specialties within the law school, and special events. Then we divided the site into two sections. One of them includes admissions information and the other career services. We found that it's a very useful tool for admissions because for example, we influenced the director interviewed the director of admissions at the law school. And he was very helpful in terms of offering guidelines to prospective students. We can create a virtual tour in iTunes and interview students. It's one of those features that really helps introduce the school to prospective students. Also, people who are kind of short on time in New York City or coming for multiple interviews, it's a good way for them to have a kind of audio tour if they're running around trying to visit numerous places. And then career services has been really a good venue for job seekers and people who are, you can include interviews with alumni, people, all sorts of features related to postgraduate life as a JD. Always describe the podcast feed. I manage the site, and although I'm certainly not really, I don't have a legal background at all, but basically, even a very general description, it's important to have some kind of reference for people. Then another thing that the producer recommended was that you should really have distinctive graphics for feature events. And he also liked the idea of repetitive branding. So, for example, all of our album covers have the New York Law School logo. But nonetheless, within that, variations definitely call attention to high-profile events at the law school. So I think it's very important to try to call attention to those special projects. And then we vastly increased the number of new subscriptions each month. The first month we had 652, so it's like 65 folder original. And everything's cross-indexed, so faculty members can you can find faculty scholarship very easily on the. It's a very potent search engine. So that's really it for bringing the podcast public. Now on the academic side, we also wanted to offer private content. And the key to that is the unique course identifier. When you're setting up a course in iTunes, you want to give it a unique name. and on that will be based administrative URLs that allow you to designate access privileges to faculty or students. We approached it, we're taking a two-pronged, or making a two-pronged attack in this case. The first one includes using iTunes outside of a course management system. We contracted Apple to come in and install a transfer server, and this allows us to offer content with single sign-on, to integrate, to sync it up with Active Directory, and then you create user groups and for both the students and faculty, and I'll show you how that works. So once you have this set up and you have it in sync with Active Directory, you want to designate administrators to the site. And actually, let me go back. And then you need to set up URLs. The URLs are based on, in our case, we have two URLs. One is for students and one is for faculty. The faculty can publish and the students can download. So it's basically, you create this string, iTunes U underscore, the name of the unique course identifier underscore instructor or student. And then you can actually go into, from the workgroup manager, you can go into Active Directory and you can draw the students who are enrolled for a specific course and create a user group, giving them access to iTunes U through the URL that you've created with the unique course identifier. And then you create a user group for the faculty member teaching the course as well, and that person can upload content. And then the very last part that we're just beginning to address is Blackboard Authentication. There's a plugin with Blackboard that allows you to manage iTunes through that platform. And that's very, very common among institutions. Your Blackboard sign-in basically enables you to have access to either the instructor or the student role. But there are certainly institutions that aren't using a learning management system or Blackboard. So for them, the best approach is to use this system with the transfer script, the transfer server. So what it looks like is, let's go back. Actually. So on the upper right-hand corner of the iTunes site on the splash page, you click on log into iTunes U. And then it just prompts you for your credentials, your LDAP credentials, and then above the public content, you have access to whatever private academic podcasts have been created. Yes.
How does your Active Directory know? How does Active Directory in your environment talk to your student information system to know what courses your students are enrolled in?
Excellent question. It doesn't. So in fact, it's a lot of manual work if you're going to do it that way. There's a way, however. We're still in a pilot stage with the academic podcast.
Okay.
You can engage Apple to write an applet that populate or creates these RSS feeds, based on course enrollment and Active Directory. I think it's a 6 or 7 day engagement, $7,000 to $10,000, and they will create, write an application that does that all automatically
Yeah, because that's the trick is like, this is all great. I've been leading the iTunes effort at Carolina, not just for the law school, but for the whole university. I was crazy enough to take that on my own head. But the tricky thing is the authenticate. I mean, we're doing authentication based on our campus user ID, which was pretty easy to do.
Right.
But harvesting the data, because LDAP, our campus LDAP, doesn't have sysinfo. It's got role information, so you can say whether somebody's faculty, staff, or student,
Right.
and define their access within iTunes U based on role. But to know that John Doe is in Biology 101 just for the fall of 2008, and then they drop out of that course and they're in a different course, it's really tricky to write the authentication scripts. And other than trying to go through Blackboard, we've been exploring various methodologies, and I know a lot of the iTunes U schools have rolled their own, basically. But that's why I was, when you said we harvest Active Directory user accounts for course access, I was thinking, well, how does Active Directory know what courses people are in? So,
well, I was assured by the Apple engineer who did our integration, LDAP integration, that this was completely feasible, and although there was definitely
$7,000 later.
Right, right, yeah, it's free, it's somewhat
That's
free.
when Apple iTunes U becomes not so free, I guess.
No, it's not quite as free as you.
Okay, just full disclosure, just I'm not calling you out on it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Yeah. Any other questions? God, it was a very brief session.
When you put faculty content on made available to students in particular classes, is that content DRM'd to their particular machine, or is it just authentication protection?
I don't follow you.
When your students log into iTunes
Right.
and they get a faculty lecture,
Mm-hmm.
is it using the iTunes digital rights management? In other words, can a student then take that and mail it to 50 of their friends, or is it coded to that particular iPod?
We don't really have a digital rights management system in place at the law school. I'd be interested in talking with you about it. But
I can comment on that. The actual agreement that you sign with Apple, it says explicitly you cannot do DRM for any content in iTunes U. It's DRM-free content only. You also can't charge for it. So just as Steve Jobs is trying to move all the record labels and iTunes in general to DRM-free content so that people can port it to other devices, that is the rule of iTunes U. Now, if you're feeding content up into iTunes U from your own server, which is doable, you get a quota of storage on Apple's server farm, but you can also feed stuff from a local server through feeds and things like that, which it sounds like is what you guys are doing. You can possibly do some DRM if it's not on Apple servers, but I think that would kind of be breaking the original intent of the agreement.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they actually employed their own M4P.
It's DRM free.
So it's downloaded as an MP3 or M4A as opposed to an M4P.
Yeah.
Or M3P.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes. Sorry.
What, if anything, do you tell students who don't have an iPod but have some other computing product? Is the content accessible in any way to people who don't own an iPod?
Well, it's always accessible, as you know, on on one's computer. So you can download the iTunes application and simply have access to it on your desktop. In terms of actually syncing up with a portable device, Apple has been very careful to make sure it only syncs with the iPod. But they control most of the market share anyway. And yes.
Have any faculty elected to open their course content up to the whole world, or do they just keep it for their students enrolled?
We haven't actually embarked on the. I mean, we have, it's all set up and ready to go, but we're not ready yet to. Generally, though, at the law school, New York Law School, faculty have been very, very excited about the prospect of sharing their scholarship. They haven't been. People have been pointing at the MIT open courseware and all that. I mean, in a way, it really is a wonderful, opportunity to share your scholarship. And I think that people have a much more open kind of expansive sense of what this can do rather than wanting to limit access to their content.
Have you had any issues with accessibility, like requests for transcripts for some of the materials?
I'm sorry?
Any accessibility issues with transcripts for videos and things like that? Has that ever come up as an issue?
You mean like ADA compliance? Yeah, actually we got a letter from a visually impaired person, and unfortunately the iTunes platform isn't really suited to a screen reader. So we were actually toying with the idea of creating HTML pages with the podcast content on them, just to make them accessible. That is a real kind of problem with the whole iTunes.
Any idea, if you heard from the Apple folks, as to when their product or their platform may be better suited for screen readers?
No, but I should explore that also with them.
My understanding is that they claim that the latest version of iTunes, the iTunes application that works in both Windows and Mac, is accessibility compliant insofar as JAWS and other screen readers will be able to navigate through them. But like Daniel said, our experience has been somewhat to the contrary. Your mileage may vary, that kind of thing. One thing you can do, in addition to video and audio files within iTunes U, you can also upload PDFs. So one idea and we're trying to be proactive about the accessibility issue because we've already heard from our accessibility officers at UNC. And one thing we've talked about doing is, how realistic is it to think that you could provide a transcript for every single recording? If it's an hour-long lecture, who's going to sit there and transcribe that? But just to make it known, maybe provide a link on your page, on your splash page, or on your iTunes U portal that says accessibility questions, and have like an FAQ or something to try to be at least proactive. But it's definitely something instructional designers have called them out on.
Oh, that's interesting. So can you also upload a Word document?
You can't do Word, only PDF.
That's so terrible, really.
Yeah.
It's like they want to be proprietary, but then they don't, really make the most accessible medium
Well, I guess
available.
PDF is universally accessible more so than Word. Some people could argue. So that's why they allow that. But I've seen some sites that will have like a tab called audio, a tab called video, and then a tab called transcripts or.
Our web coordinator guru, accessibility tip.
Yeah.
He actually found a service. It can get expensive, but he said it was like $2 a minute that they'll do the transcription.
Yeah.
So for like really important, everything we're going to put out on our Facebook pages, we'll go out and try to get the transcripts done.
Yeah.
But and he uses this is called Magpie. This is more his area than mine.
Yeah.
He uses Magpie, I guess, to line up the transcripts for the captioning and all that. I was just wondering if anyone else had those kinds of issues.
No, I mean, we certainly do, and it was, the point was raised by somebody who was trying to access our content and couldn't. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? I think this can easily just be a forum to discuss the. Well, thank you very much. How are you? Yeah. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Would it be possible to get a copy of it? Sure. Yep. Oh, I'd love to. If I could get a CD.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I already have 2 computers. I don't have a computer.
That's great. Thank you. Right.
Oh, I know. I'll be sure.
Yeah, well, I think. Yes, I think. We'll see. Thank you so much.
I have lost my program server.
I would tote my computer from the hotel, much less.
This is a video screen downstairs?
Yeah. I mean, mine's set up in the hotel just to get in and out and get back. And it's my small one. It's
Close up and that menu.
See that, I just did, I think this is good. Yeah, when they slid it into the envelope. Did you get it? Yeah. Are these, are the other two students, or are they? Yeah.
And I was walking back, I saw science on the road, famous marketing. Think about it. I can see she'll do the marketing because just in terms of thinking about what you
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, it's on Terry.
put it out.
Did a home run.
Still, I think
No, it wasn't before that, but it was kind of.
But are they doing any side stuff? I guess maybe it depends on the time that it's too.
So I will ask on Tuesday about that too.
your iPhone and now and then it's very confusing when you get a new computer. This file's already on two computers and it becomes a nightmare. So now there's not going to buy an iPhone.
I work with an electronic things that have that in place now, that potential.
Could be.
Recognize it as conflict. Mine's brand new, so it's, yeah, all of my technology is especially that. I just have all of this, the Windows version. Her camera, look like, the little old webcams that you put on top of the box. I'd say it's just the business from the company. I don't know how strong that. Yeah, we just got a quote for the
Coming back in? Who's the,
major ones.
Thank
Yeah, we just talked about it. He has this 23 section 7. Have you ever watched that course? It's dynamic. It's really, really cool. He's all over the combined room. Roll forward, 6 combined, but he's all over and he's, he's really engaging. All these people that can't speak, trouble in English language, and he engages them from giving them a national perspective. I mean, how he thought and how she did. So it's very cool.
I don't know, I'm going next, so I'm just going to catch up.
There's sort of two levels.
Yeah.
One is caching, where sort of systematically it starts downloading videos to your hard drive, from proof of things. Like it starts going to your hard drive so you don't skip sleep and you just go like a temporary internet type folder. But then of course,
Brian, do you happen to know what the kind of cables the widescreen TV has in the bottom? Are they HDMI?
They are.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to put an Apple TV instead of that Mac Mini.
Yeah?
It crashed again. Yeah.
Is it right HDMI?
I don't know.
We can do
DVR? Regular VGA? Okay. That'll work.
good running.
I know. You just wanted to get it going.
Thank you.
You saw Sergio's email?
Yeah.
It's fine.
I could have sworn you have. It was about the resolution. I remember you answering those questions. I know you wanted some other things, but you answered these resolution
I
issues.
think they updated whatever it was involved. We haven't brought them yet.
Yeah, I remember we said that it would be too distracting, it would use parabolic type of.
Yeah, I
Exactly. But the magnet choked up again. It's not really well suited.
well, yeah, when you start pushing video or visual graphic.
Like you said, he was tough. It jumped out.
Back, you know?
Yeah. Some good stuff. Did you hear about Oregon? He said that Apple can do courseware.
Well, yeah, I mean, they do it flat. Yeah, I knew they could do it flat.
I'm sure Jason can do something for us.
Yeah.
That's the other thing we're going to tackle as soon as we design. The quicker upgrade and then courseware into either the portal or maybe the Twiki. I'm not sure, but
Okay. Well, we gotta get the LDAP thing.
yeah, Vince is working on let me just show you this if I can get this baby going. And then I'll show you some stuff. And what is so this is already
That's what that.
that's going to LDAP now. This part needs a lot of work. The CLS community part.
Well, maybe we could go with that.
I agree.
Change, imagine.
This is all garbage. I don't like it. It's a little slow.
Well, yeah, a lot of people hate it.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't like about it. Is the those two. This is the blogging piece. This is not. I had a coursework thing in there. Did we take that off? We had linked coursework in here. But we linked LawNet and coursework and started pulling.
Well, I saw the law that we pulled out all the.
We did it with courseworks too.
Yeah.
It needs a lot more work. But the idea is to get it into one, using boards, let the LDAP integration piece working. That's kind of cool. Some problems with this here, for example, it doesn't have the calendars, you can't subscribe to them, which is not really cool. So if somebody puts an event in, you can import our calendars, but what happens if you want to know if a class change? It'd be nice to just change the class here and then it goes away and it populates and does everything it's supposed to do. I think that's a problem with these beta sites. I think we got rid of it. Sorry. But this is something that we did before. Oh, here we go. Oh. Of course, this is just pulling stuff on the
Yeah, I saw it. This may be the one I saw.
This is the one.
Here's LawNet, right?
This is LawNet. So right now, this is LawNet. This is literally going into the little LawNet.
Yeah.
So cool. So we can do this. We got the web dev piece working.
Really?
Yeah, so.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, let me just accept this here. This, because of the single sign-on. my H-drive,
Mm-hmm.
and I can upload from my computer and
Yeah,
not
so you're not
bad.
even listening to her.
Now,
you're
this is
just-
the coursework
Your
piece.
students should know,
Yeah.
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 That's a big deal, I mean, they don't even do the G drive stuff, they just open.
Right. Again, no single sign-on. We're gonna fix that in the next few weeks.
See what the vendors
So
are.
what am I here?
I single sign
I'll see you later.
Big.
I might go
We're
to
gonna
that
do it with
session
Open ID
instead.
and Open SSL.
But I figure, they're putting all these up,
I don't have any classes,
so, you know,
But,
we have to see or listen.
There it is.
there it is.
That's true.
So,
So if it's single sign up, that'd be great, because if you get into the portal, and then you get into this stuff, at least you're getting into all the other stuff as well as this. Even if
absolutely.
you have to change. But
Even after you have change
No,
behind
that's
it.
big, no, that's-
Right.
But I mean, but what's all around is important too.
So what we would do basically is.
Especially, I mean, the calendar things, you know,
Not a big deal?
no, well, no, I'm saying, no, actually, I think it is a big deal.
Big deal, I think
mean,
it is.
the calendar thing's big, I mean, in that if you could associate a calendar with a course, you know what I'm saying, so that people, because we really don't have a calendar function.
No, we don't. We've got that one here. It looks horrible, unfortunately, but it's almost done too. Here's the problem. If you notice, I went to Lorna. These are those simple things, and I go back to course maps.
You know, again, yeah.
You know, those kind of silly
yeah,
things.
right.
We got a cookie.
Yeah, well, they can, I'm sure that, you know, they'll make those steps happen,
Right?
for sure.
So this is a site map. We're not going to keep it here, but it's going to be basically Lorna, web drives, and email.
Right.
And in the email portion, we'll probably let the students, because a lot of them are on Gmail,
Yeah,
you'll be able to configure whatever you want here.
right, whatever your email, good.
Whatever your email,
Good.
and then you pop it in here, and then we do
Right.
that. The web count, let me see what that looks like. And Vince, I tell you, this guy, he's good, man. I'm really happy he could hit the ground running.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Different outlaws, I think it was web count. Let me see web count. Alright, this is the web count. Again, all these we need the right theming, and
Yeah,
this is all that we could do it also.
right.
Here's the problem. All this crap comes up here, we didn't figure that out yet.
Oh.
But,
Well, there's a calendar.
and this is, it has to be themed, but same concept here where it's a web dev as well. This is the month view, and this part here, we have no idea why it's doing it. It's junk. It's the LDAP module. Need some kind of rewrite in there. But you can put all your stuff in there, you know, your name, your do your thing,
Right.
and this is only for me. And now we can do department ones, and then you can subscribe to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming together, and that was the event. Now, if I send you the RSS feed to issue, you'd be able to get all this stuff. So if we can get it all into the portal under the new look and feel,
No, that's going to be a big,
it's
big,
gonna
big,
be
big
huge,
change.
dude.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, but, I mean, you know, to the extent that we do get it going, you know, I think it'd be a big deal.
Yeah, we have July and August.
Yeah.
And then we could still send everyone there. At least they have the same place. And show the links, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you can work on the stuff, right, well, that's the beauty of that.
Yeah,
Exactly. Once you
right.
get this top level
Once you get
going,
the top level
you know, people sign in, and you just keep giving them more stuff.
And the other thing is huge when you get in there. We'll do it another time, but
Yeah.
you can go ahead and now the things that come into it, you can make your own blogs, your own wikis, your everything right inside the portal.
Yeah, no, students are going to love that.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So
Was I talking to, Marta? She was-
Marta Riccardo.
Yeah, she was
Yes.
saying that, student groups really want to be
Yep.
able to put their own stuff up, and I'm saying, yeah, well, you know, start at the end to go use, you know, that ACES would create a student group account, and all they would get is just that Unix thing.
Yeah.
And if they knew how to do it, great, if they didn't, then, you know, that was it.
That was it.
Right.
And you're done. So we're going to give you all this blank space. All
Right.
this space will be yours to do whatever.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
No, that's great, I mean, that's, all by itself is going to be, I think, tremendous.
Then we're getting closer.
Yeah, that's right. No question about it. Yeah, well.
Easy. The business citizen, I put it on my name. Hope that's okay. So,
Yeah, look at the New York Law School iTunes thing. They have a lot of quite a bit of stuff.
quite a
there.
bit, yeah.
It is. It's impressive.
that's the other thing that we don't talk about, but we do. Where's all the content going to come from?
Well, we can get that.
We can get that? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff. It's all the events that happen at the first world platform. This conference, that's
Good?
No.
But she saw all this stuff already.
Yeah, and then, but she was just like complaining about everything.
Yeah, she did that to our session too.
Yeah.
We were supposed to talk about a new website, and she was just complaining about construction issues and bad.
Yeah, I got that impression.
Yeah, she was upset.
But she just kept going off about stuff. Wow.
How was the meeting?
It's okay. Well, Juliana created this very in-depth calendar.
Yeah.
You see, it's this Excel
Yeah,
spreadsheet,
she
right?
was.
Thousands of all other stuff.
Right.
Terry's giving her some stuff tomorrow. Yeah, but we really don't have one, right? We have to react to everybody.
I was about to say, it's not that you don't have no one cares, they just still give you like that after dinner the other night.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're getting, hey, can you?
Oh, no, we had a guy there the whole day, holding people's hands.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe it. And you probably only hear about it a few hours before.
Right. No, well, no, we knew about it, but it was like, well, we'll set it up and take it down, but he had to be there the whole time. Because everybody was nervous about that. Right.
So she put the, was it well received, the whole calendar?
Yeah, it was, it's it's really quite an effort on our part to try to keep track of this. I mean, I don't know, I honestly don't know how useful it is. Because it isn't real specific, but, I mean, to the extent that you can do stuff specific, that's good.
We had a whole downtown schedule.
I know, Ed was saying that, well, and then they came in like, was it the day before?
We had people coming, Dad was coming, we had to do this massive sand upgrade.
Yeah.
There's some two people from Texas. That wasn't our problem, but we didn't have to pay for it.
Right.
It's their fault, they have to send them in from Texas. They should have a local guy, but anyway. Everything's all built and everything. The day before, I mean, we send this stuff out all the time.
Yeah.
And then we hear, there's no one, can you reschedule it? You can, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But you can. And we have to put the brakes on.
I know, Ed was saying this, like, and it's just because one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. That's the,
I don't know why the other hand doesn't know,
Yeah.
because we're sitting out.
yeah. Oh, well, you do it every month. I mean, you do that.
All right.
They might figure that out, right?
Did we get a chance to talk about the web and the whole thing, or that didn't come up?
No, I didn't really come up. It was really just a schedule, this thing that she put together, which you had.
Yeah.
And then basically they're saying, well, what else? And so there's other stuff that she can put into it. And then, but people who work on conferences for 3 years and then 2 days beforehand.
Tell me about it.
And then it's like, oh, we got.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it. This thing for years.
Tell me about it. We get the call, we get a day before a conference, we had this one.
Email terminals and kiosks.
We needed 10 laptops.
Yeah.
10. David said, 10 laptops. We don't have 10 laptops.
Yeah, right. We don't have.
And the ones that we do have are out for loaners. We can sell this if you give us enough time. Long
Right,
story
rent
short,
them.
we have to go rent them
Yeah.
because then we can have some software. So we went crazy, and we really run out of money.
Yeah.
It's something that if they would have told us just a week before, it would have been an easy thing, a real easy thing.
No, it is funny.
But you're right, it was fun. And the make matters worse. David told the women that Haley committed the resources, so he told these people not to bring their laptops.
Yeah.
So we had to make this thing happen.
Right. Well, everything costs. I mean, you don't do anything for money, but geez. No, that was the idea, and it's a good one. I mean, the problem is we just don't have enough space.
That's what it is.
No, really. I mean, that's why you're never going to win that.
Right.
People are not going to be happy no matter what you do.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
What are you gonna do, right?
yeah.
I think we're on the right track. I think Evan was really helpful. If he could stay in that mode, we can get a lot out of him. When he goes off the handle, it's like it's tough.
He wasn't bad. So he was in the, ball playing. He's still on here. And probably maybe it's the summer. I was thinking, the people aren't like all brought up about everything else. And this is one more thing.
I thought Evan had some great ideas.
close with them, and probably wasn't for the best.
Yeah.
Had to be afraid of me.
Oh, I know, I know.
You didn't tell him half the information.
No, I mean, never gave him the time of day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like, how do you expect me to run this place? You don't talk to you know, somebody could ask him that question.
Hilarious, man.
Yeah, really, it's amazing.
It really is, it really is. So I'm gonna build a Twiki site. Okay, one like Evans. And maybe I'll start preparing for the replacement of the CMS. I think we're gonna get hammered on the new design actually. Yeah, I think we're gonna get hammered.
That's gonna be.
I'm gonna change my comment.
Yeah.
I just wanna show you Georgetown's.
Yeah, you're saying
It looks
that link.
awesome.
Yeah, because
This is over 2
I
years.
looked at their faculty blog thing the other day. I took a look at that.
Look at that, clean. But basically what,
Yeah.
whatchamacallit was talking about, Avery.
Right.
I don't like the B schools.
Georgetown.org on the.
Oh, Lord, at Georgetown, EDU. This is so cool.
Oh, I see. So this graphic changes.
Yeah.
Bean page. I see. You don't get to faculty and administration until you get to the second level. Oh no, here it is.
I hear this thing a problem.
There it is. A to Z index. That's a good thing. Like I have it. That's a good thing.
I think so. I mean, there's some really cool things about it. Easy index, the directories, this transitional page here. Yeah, they got to switch that out.
Yeah,
Yeah, he acknowledged that, by the way.
on Mac, it doesn't work on others too.
Hello?
Yeah, they assumed a Mac, dude. And you gotta have QuickTime.
You have to.
You gotta have QuickTime.
I have that.
Sharp as heck.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's a quick thing. Oh, that's a Mac. Okay. No, that's good.
Nothing compelling.
That's good.
Not bad, right?
That's just pretty sharp.
What was that, 320 by,
A little bigger than that.
not bad,
Like
right?
using a vintage camera for that.
Yeah, looks like it. Interesting.
Now we're doing that. Well, what's that stuff? Oh, I see.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, no, that's all high res.
Look at that camera. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they expected, this thing to work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah, it did, but because they were selling a Mac at QuickTime and all